dividend and capital models.
In an early morning breakfast presentation, the Bank of PNG Governor Elizabeth Genia presented the monetary policy decisions the bank has made over the past 6 months. Ms. Genia said there are still some work the Bank of PNG needs to do to improving the effectiveness of the monetary policy transmission mechanism. Meanwhile, she said the Kina Facility Rate, or KFR, was increased from 2 to 2.5% in May, accompanied with an increase in the cash reserve requirement from 10% to 11% of all deposits held with the commercial banks. In June, the cash reserve rate was increased to 12%, which resulted in increase of Treasury bills yield.
The increase in the CRR resulted in liquidity tightening to the extent that the yields on Treasury bill increased. And we saw for the first time in many years a steepening of the yield curve out to 12 months and beyond. The more recent increases in the KFR to 3% in August and to 4% in September helped alleviate some of the pressure on the steepening in the yield curve, while aligning our overnight policy rate with those of our major trading partners.
She further elaborated on inflation.
Headline inflation has been trending downwards since 2023, reaching a record low of 1% in the June quarter of 2024. Headline inflation is something we observe at the central bank, but far more important for us is the underlying or core inflation measure. Core inflation measures, the trimmed mean and exclusion-based inflation, increased by 3.2% and 5.5% respectively. Inflationary pressures have become less broad-based, and we expect inflationary pressures continue to be driven by increases in the price of domestic goods towards the December quarter.
Governor said a tighter monetary policy stance is necessary to manage these inflation risks, but it will affect the wholesale interest rates on government's security increase significantly.
Following our tightening of monetary policy, wholesale interest rates on government securities increased significantly to pre-COVID levels, while the adjustment to deposit rates was much lower. However, we have observed that one or two of the banks have raised the term deposits to lure some of the major deposit holders. In the third quarter of 2024, the commercial banks' indicator lending rates were between 7.2% and 11.7%, with only one bank increasing its indicator lending rate during the quarter.
She said these lending margins are above global average, and it will be addressed in part with the increasing competition in the banking sector of PNG. This monetary statement is the last from the Bank of PNG under the current governance structure.